Pizza?
Do you want the truth? Are you tired of being so confused? You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news. Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, still unfriendly. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up all the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's
Shut my door.
What is going on, Don't Unfriend Me Nation? We're skipping that because we don't have time. My name is Matthew Spear. I am the host of Don't Unfriend Me. Good to have you here. The Don't Unfriend Me show is crushing. It is doing extremely well right now. Today's video on the Budweiser recap, we'll kind of maybe have a chance to watch that. It's doing well. I think it has a chance to be one of our highest recorded shows. I'm Matt Spear. Over here is Olivia.
Oh, I did Leroy.
That's right. Over here's Leroy. Leroy Jenkins, the long brown hair and subtle voice, all right here in a beautiful gray shirt. And now I'm going to go ahead and introduce Amy Robinson, black hat and wearing red and black. Looks like Antifa.
And you're like, holy cannoli. Oh, mother of
Very
totally
monochromatic.
And my beautiful wife of what seems to be about 57 years is Olivia Spear. She's here. And good to have her. She is the player to be named later. She has no face. I keep her in a tower and only unlock her to do my bidding. Olivia, welcome. Welcome. Amy, welcome. Leroy, welcome. Good to have you all here.
Thank you.
Hey, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, everybody.
Tonight, we're going to be doing what others don't do, which is playing Tucker Carlson. I haven't asked Fox permission, but they don't seem to care as long as we interrupt every 5 minutes or so and make some comments. And that's going to happen anyway. So please understand, we're not a cable news channel. We don't owe you a damn thing. And us streaming this is out of the kindness of our own heart and out of my pocketbook. So we might interrupt it every 5 minutes just to kind of give you perspective. Now, excuse me, I happen to care about this subject quite a bit, which is artificial intelligence. Elon Musk seems to be, unlike other billionaires like Bill Gates, and decides to create a vaccine. Elon Musk wants to have hypothetical conversations based upon prognostication and expert opinion of what AI could mean to a detriment to not only the United States, but the world. I've got my own opinions. I think there's some things that people aren't thinking about, which we'll talk tonight. And that's what I always try to do, is think a little bit outside the box and look at it from stepping back and look at it from a Mars point of view or a moon point of view. So let's get to this with no further ado so we can go ahead and begin watching this. And like I said, we will have commentary in between. Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. Tucker Carlson and Elon Musk. I know, there's no sound yet. That's the way it works. It's coming. Hold on, folks. Uh-oh. I'll rewind it. I know why.
Democratic Party. Elon Musk used for good and not evil.
There you
That
go.
was the idea. But as the years passed and Musk found himself preoccupied building a couple of SpaceX and Tesla.
I need to play with the sound,
OpenAI
folks. I apologize. It's
is no longer open. It's not a nonprofit research project dedicated to using artificial
audio is
intelligence.
fragging. They're running copyright infringement on it. Just everyone give me a minute. I'll get the audio working. So fill in the gaps, folks.
How was everyone's weekend?
It was good.
How was
I was just
Florida?
going to read a comment. I'll read a comment from Rhonda. She says, hello, everyone. California here. No condolences necessary. Laughy emoji. Love that. Funny.
I love it.
It's just funny.
I
No,
love
yeah,
it.
weekend was good. How was everyone else's weekend?
My weekend was good. It was long. I had to get a lot done. I had to
controlled to some
deal
extent
with
by the
my
Democratic
youngest son's
Party.
taxes.
Elon
So
Musk
that's always
thinks
fun.
that's a problem.
Cutting it down to the wire there of taxes.
Yeah.
We filed an extension. We're just like, forget this crap. We're doing an extension. It's ridiculous.
I did it this year too for the first time ever. I filed an extension this year. First time ever. Just saying. You still have to
Love it.
pay. You
Congratulations,
still have to
Jesse. I know
pay
you'll be
your
back
taxes.
soon. Right.
By
Oh
tomorrow.
my God.
But still.
I hate when this happens. It's just, this is just, the drama of going live.
We all get on here on time. Everything's going well. We're on time, and then something else happens.
Yeah,
Something
no,
always
fails.
happens.
It's the way it
Well,
works, folks.
I spent some time in the airport the last couple days. So
Why was that?
so I went to visit. I took the kids to see my family
Emma
in
did the
Florida.
work. Okay. Congratulations, Emma, for
Good
everything
time.
you've.
Nothing crazy happened, which usually there's something that I will say this. Anyone who has small children, and I think we've all been there. This poor woman behind me, her child was
Emma did the work.
screaming.
Okay,
I mean,
congratulations.
screaming. It felt horrible. And everyone was like so mad at this poor. I mean, he was a baby. He was just a couple years, like 2 years old at the most, and he was just obviously. Oh, you're ready for me?
No, I want you to hurry up with the story.
Oh, that was it.
Can we tell it?
Just felt
Can we
bad
tell
for
it
the
later? Can we? I mean, we got
I'm
Tucker.
telling you that
So,
important. I was just on space.
it is important. I want to hear the story, but I need you to just take it in 30 seconds and tell the rest of the story. Go.
That was it. So I was the one who calmed this child down. I took credit for that, and no one bought me a drink or anything. And I totally kept that kid entertained for the 2-hour flight. Just saying.
Nice.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Very sweet of you.
And nobody even bought you a Bloody Mary or anything?
Nothing. I was like, what
That's
the hell? Not a
ridiculous.
snack box, not a dang thing.
The snack box.
Anything would have been
Here's
great.
a bag of peanuts. I have a complimentary pillow for you to take home with you, Amy. All right, we're gonna watch Tucker Carlson. We'll talk more about the flight. Wasn't trying to be rude, just trying to keep everything moving along. People want to watch the show. Here it is.
Tonight, happy Monday. Artificial intelligence is one of those topics that's just spooky and sci-fi enough to make for a compelling television
Remember,
set
if you're going to
below
talk,
on
I have
the
to
morning
pump
show.
this up. So
But at the
just
same
be careful.
time, AI is complex enough that it's easy to misrepresent. It sounds like something that could be revolutionary, even dangerous to humanity. But is it? And if it is, what should we do about it? Those questions are significant enough that we wanted to find someone who could provide a definitive answer. Elon Musk seemed like the right person. Musk has been thinking about AI and worrying about it for most of his life. Nearly a decade ago, he helped found a nonprofit research project called OpenAI, and the point was in the name. If we're going to have artificial intelligence, and apparently we are, it ought to be open to the world. That would help ensure that it's used for good and not evil. That was the idea. But as the years passed and Musk found himself preoccupied building a couple of enormous companies, SpaceX and Tesla, OpenAI got away from him. As of tonight, OpenAI is no longer open. It's not a nonprofit research project dedicated to using artificial intelligence to serve humanity. It is instead a commercial enterprise backed by Microsoft and controlled to some extent by the Democratic Party. Elon Musk thinks that's a problem. In fact, he believes it's a threat to human civilization, tantamount to maybe.
So some people may not know what artificial intelligence is because when you hear it, you immediately think of, honestly, infrared remotes. I mean, which was considered to be artificial intelligence at one point. I mean, that was the extent of infrared remotes or smart microwaves that auto paused and cooked meat to a certain time. Then that was considered artificial intelligence. Well, now artificial intelligence has really met the level of what the name means. And AI is intelligence that is not necessarily gained or garnered from any investment. It's based upon analyzing anecdotal conversations, video, audio, also factual records and representation, hypotheses, all chaos theory, whatever it is, all of these type of different processes that we do to find answers is collectively gathered and then used with not necessarily artificial intelligence, but artificial conscience. So it bases off of the most prominent intelligence or information by a volume perspective, by a consistency and share perspective. And let me give you an example. I can go to OpenAI. I'm a religious user of OpenAI. I've been using it for quite a while. And I use it for certain things like titles on videos and such. But I can go in and say, Matthew Spear from Don't Unfriend Me, please write a piece on the Second Amendment in Matthew Spear's first person voice and in his thought process off of his collective works from YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and you will get my writings. Now, the reason why this is scary is because 1 year from now, they are saying that AI will reach collective conscience, which means that you can take my videos, my pictures, my audio recordings, and you can have somebody, Matt Spear, even if I'm dead, who can send you a message every day based in my voice, my video, my character, of my thought process, and we are a year away from this. This has now gotten very serious, and I'll tell you why. There's some other things, but that's what artificial intelligence is. Now, it's also a useful tool that can be used for instance, there is from PS4. The PS4 had a rolling code that it was able to process billions and billions and billions of times over, that all the computer systems in the world, from science and research and technology centers, it would have taken us 75 years to process. Well, they folded this DNA and this genome sequence so many times that they made advancements in cerebral palsy, Lou Gehrig's, and other diseases. And this was all done on video game systems passively when people were asleep. That's a form of AI. So there's benefit to it. But this is going to talk about the dangers of it. And then I'm going to expand on it, something Elon will not talk about because Elon hasn't encroached upon this. And I'm hoping that at some point he can hear this and go, holy shit, I didn't think about that. So let's watch it. I wanted to explain it to you. Sorry about the pause.
Civilization, tantamount to, maybe even more terrifying than, thermonuclear weapons. The conversation you're about to see took place recently in a hotel room in Los Angeles. We think it's important enough that we're going to play the entire thing for you over the course of tonight and tomorrow. Here's how the conversation began. So all of a sudden AI is everywhere. People who weren't quite sure what it was are playing with it on their phones. Is that good or bad?
Yeah, so I've been thinking about AI for a long time, since I was in college, really. It was one of the things that, the sort of 4 or 5 things I thought would really affect the future dramatically. It is fundamentally profound in that the smartest creatures, as far as we know, on this earth are humans, is our defining characteristic.
Yes.
We're obviously weaker than, say, chimpanzees and less agile, but we are smarter. So now what happens when something vastly smarter than the smartest person comes along in silicon form? It's very difficult to predict what will happen in that circumstance. Mm. It's called the singularity. It's, it's a singularity like a black hole, because you don't know what happens after that. It's hard to predict. So I think we should be cautious with AI, and I think there should be some government oversight, because it affects it's a danger to the public. And so when you have things that are a danger to the public, like let's say, so food and drugs. That's why we have the Food and Drug Administration, right, and the Federal Aviation Administration, the FCC. We have these agencies to oversee things that affect the public, where there could be public harm, and you don't want companies cutting corners on safety, and then having people suffer as a result. So that's why I've actually for a long time been a strong advocate of AI regulation. So that I think regulation is, it's not fun to be regulated. It's somewhat arduous to be regulated. I have a lot of experience with regulated industries because obviously automotive is highly regulated. You could fill this room with all the regulations that are required for a production car just in the United States. And then there's a whole different set of regulations in Europe and China and the rest of the world. So very familiar with being overseen by a lot of regulators. And the same thing is true with rockets. You can't just willy-nilly shoot rockets off, not big ones anyway. Because the FAA oversees that, and then even
the
to get
little
a
ones.
launch license, there
Right.
are
Even the little ones,
probably
drones.
half a dozen or more federal agencies.
So like Olivia does work with drones, and what do you have to do in order to qualify to fly your drone, and what process do you have to go through?
Well, we had to register the drone, and I get a serial number that has to be with the drone at all times. And GPS has to be activated on it. Then there are certain places I can't fly it. So I have an app that I can type in whatever address I'm going to, and it's going to tell me if it's an okay area to fly, if it's caution, or if it's restricted and I can't go there. And if I try to go in a restricted area, it'll land my drone in 90 seconds and I can't fly it.
Yeah.
So
And I was actually
Wh- wh-
thinking more in terms of the rockets that he was talking about. Even when you go to the store and you buy like those toys, those
Right.
rockets are mandated. I mean, they say they're like class C and class this and that. Well, that's all regulated.
yeah, there's a ton of exponential energy in those rockets, and surprisingly enough, it's enough to bring down single engine planes and things to that effect just by getting into the fuselage, just by getting into the air intake or impacting window strike or whatever else it is. Like I said before, it doesn't take much. A Sidewinder missile essentially is a grenade. That's all it is. And a grenade in open space, not on ground, but in open air, really isn't much. The reason why grenades are effective is in closed spaces or the ground, which pushes the explosion outward. But when it's up in the air, the dispersion of a grenade is insignificant. Honestly, you could probably be 15 feet away from it and have absolutely no damage done to you whatsoever. But when you are blowing that up near a plane, it's going to bring it down. So obviously regulation is for a reason. I want to, that was our pause, but I want to go ahead and keep going here. But the conversation I want people to wrap their heads around is take your mind out of a myopic space and of thinking just the United States. And I want you to think from a world perspective. When it comes to artificial intelligence, excuse me, I've had my protein shake, so I've got the hiccups. So every night it happens. So take a thought about that. And then what we'll do is we'll dive into it and I think bring up some things that Leroy and I probably have thought about because we kind of share the same brain when it comes to geopolitical situations. But there is a very existential threat that's not being discussed, which we will discuss after this. Now, I've heard Elon's take on this, so this isn't a surprise for me. I know what he's going to say, but still good to hear to give some frame of reference.
Agencies. So I've been through so many regulatory situations. It's insane. And sometimes people think I'm some sort of like regulatory maverick that sort of defies regulators on a regular basis, but this is actually not the case. Once in a blue moon, rarely I will disagree with regulators, but the vast majority of the time, my companies agree with the regulations and comply. Anyway, so I think we should take this seriously, and we should have a regulatory agency. I think it needs to start with a group that initially seeks insight into AI, then solicits opinion from industry, and then has proposed rulemaking, and then those rules, will probably, hopefully, grudgingly be accepted by the major players in AI, and I think we'll have a better chance of advanced AI being beneficial to humanity in that circumstance.
But all regulations start with a perceived danger, and planes fall out of the sky, or food causes botulism.
Yes.
I don't think the average person playing with AI on his iPhone perceives any danger. Can you just...
Real quick, the one thing about Elon Musk that I absolutely love, that I try to emulate, but I'm totally unsuccessful, is his curiousness for the human mind. And
Oh,
he is
absolutely.
so good about finding value in everybody. Everybody. It doesn't matter who it is. And even when he's going to destroy you in a comment, he's still curious as to what you think. And I do have a passion for that. I'm not as prolific as he is about getting it to come out of people. That's probably because I'm a little threatening and intimidating, and I get that. But Elon, even with Tucker right there, he sees what Tucker is going to say before Tucker's even finished. And he's like, oh yeah, absolutely. And he gives him almost carte blanche to expand on the thought and almost move forward, because Elon's already ahead of him. And like, yeah, completely. I agree. He's already there, head shaking, and he understands, because right after it will be a prolific statement that shows he understands exactly where Tucker was going.
Right.
And it's very intelligent of a way to communicate. And also it builds confidence in the person you're talking to. I absolutely admire that about him. I've been following him quite a bit on Twitter, because I get his interactions like crazy, because since he's taken over, he really talks to the conservative groups, and I see his stuff constantly. And that's probably because I interact with most of his stuff, and just listening to him and how sharp he is, it's really incredible. But anyway, just some food for thought.
Perceives any danger. Can you just roughly explain what you think the dangers might be?
Yeah, so the danger, really, AI is perhaps more dangerous than, say, mismanaged aircraft design or production maintenance, or bad car production, in the sense that it has the potential, however small one may regard that probability, but it is non-trivial. It has the potential of civilizational destruction. There's movies like Terminator, but it wouldn't quite happen like Terminator,
Right.
because the intelligence would be in the data centers.
Right.
The robot's just the end effector. But I think perhaps what you may be alluding to here is that regulations are really only put into effect after something terrible has happened.
That's correct.
If that's the case for AI, and we only put in regulations after something terrible has happened, it may be too late to actually put the regulations in place. The AI may be in control at that point.
You think that's real? It is conceivable that AI could take control and reach a point where you couldn't turn it off, and it would be making the decisions for people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
No, that's definitely where things are headed, for sure. I mean, the things like say ChatGPT, which is
Okay, so people are talking, so we might as well just.
Sure.
Lee says there's no such thing as artificial intelligence yet. I completely disagree, because I've worked intimately with these programs, and there most assuredly is. Now, when you say it's just what they've programmed, that's not the case.
Not true.
It's not true at all. In fact, it's a blatant misnomer, and I can tell you how I know this, because I can go into ChatGPT right now. And I think Leroy, I'd probably be able to. He has enough on him where I can just simply put in 3 or 4 links of video that he's done, and that thing can write a full book in Leroy's perspective. And
Yeah.
when I say a book, I'm not kidding. I'm talking 700-800 pages based upon 2 or 3.
You define that.
Hold on. 2 or 3 paragraphs of requests, and I could say, Leroy, real name, blah, 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 blah. Here are 3 samples. Please write it in his tonality in regards to these 7 subjects. Please make this 75,000 words. Please make it 6 chapters in totaling 700 pages in a third-person omniscient characterization on every other chapter. At the end, roughly 2 pages, writing an introspective in Leroy's thought process. And I'm not kidding you. This thing will write it, and it's not bullshit. It's good. Go ahead, Leroy.
So what I was going to say is this is actually something that I've been following. Given Matt, you know where I work and everything. It is something that the people that I work for, it is something that they are looking at. And what we found out is that AI, right? The kind of the key to it is that somehow, and I don't know how this works, somehow though, the people that programmed the thing, the people that invented it, have figured out how to encode the meaning of words with their relation to other words that are in the sentence. So that's a big part of it. Once they got that down, that's where like this seemingly, brilliance just starts bubbling up from the text.
It's called code parsing. It's called code parsing. Real quick, just to interject, and it's called it writes its own code. See, that's what people are saying. They're saying, "Oh, well, Matt, it's coded." No, it writes its own code to achieve the goals you set for it. That is where the AI comes in. It writes its own parameters, and it's a learning system. That yes, the binary code of ones and zeros to say, here's your mission, this is what you do, and here are the commands to do it. Right. But once that happens, the actual software and program develops its own code sourcing to generate the equation, the answer, and the question, which that's what Leroy's talking about when he's like, how does it do it? That's how it does it. Go ahead, Leroy. I didn't interrupt.
No, you're good. And so what Tucker is basically trying to field, right, to Elon is to say, is this ultimately good or is it evil or is it useful? And nobody really knows for sure. Elon is by far the best person in the world to kind of ask that. But what a lot of us are trying to figure out is this thing going to be helpful? Is this going to be as advantageous to your average person as electricity was when it was first invented, or the washing machine? Is it similar in any other technologies up to this point? Will it be helpful, or will it ultimately enslave man? Because that's the flip side of that coin. And we're trying to find out ahead of time what the implications of this technology are, and then impose the limitations so we can stop the evil parts of it, right? Right. And so what Matt was talking about earlier about, and I'd like to hear your thoughts first, but some of the more nefarious purposes for AI and what you feel could be coming down the pike.
Okay, so quickly, and then I don't know if Amy, do you have something, Olivia? Anybody?
I was just going
to AI. Go ahead, Amy.
I was actually going to relate this to your home, because they have smart homes now that become intuitive on, they're all programmed initially, and you have to kind of go through and set the programs, but then it learns your behaviors. So it learns what water temperature you like in the shower, so you don't have to even turn the knob. You just hit the on button, or it's that time that you always take a shower, so it automatically turns on, or the lights they'll dim themselves at a certain time of day because that's what you would do. So these homes can learn your behaviors, and they're writing the code on themselves. Like, you don't have to go and program it over time. It learns your behaviors. So that's what it reminds me of, like the new technology in our homes. Like, everything's learning you. Studying.
Okay.
Good stuff.
I left the remnants of my protein shake on my coffee warmer, and my coffee warmer was still on, and I don't think that stuff's meant to be boiled at 145. Holy shit. I think I'm going to grow a third eye. All right. Okay. I need everyone to Olivia's heard this, and I know she grasped it. So I'm going to try to help everyone explain. The one thing we're not hearing about AI, and I have never heard this. And I love popular mechanics. I love science magazines. I love all forms of learning. And this is a topic I really, really care about. And I'll tell you why, because I believe that with the amount of sheer power, the human mind will never reach its full capacity ever. And the reason why the human mind will not reach its full capacity is because the motor functions and the overall processing of what we do need to do will never require that much brain power, unfortunately, because everything that we would use it for would be an external advantage, not necessarily an internal advantage. So the brain isn't going to develop past, we're not getting smarter. Now, innovation is, and we're able to do things that make us smarter, but honestly, we're getting dumber, to be completely transparent with you. The IQs have dropped all over the world, except for a very few countries. Artificial intelligence is not scary because it's going to go ahead and become self-aware and recognize that humans are the threat. I don't believe artificial intelligence will do that. because we do control the parameters of how it works. Okay. Will it become self-aware and say, well, we need to kill all humans? No, because without humans, computers would not exist. Now, if you expect all of a sudden that a computer is going to go ahead and be able to redo a plant line to go ahead and make, incubators that liquefy us into battery power and create human farms. Okay. You know what? You just need to shut up and just stop talking. But it's not that humans will be a threat to AI. It's that AI will become self-aware and recognize that other humans and other countries are a threat. Now, here's why. When we look at countries control the history that they write. In fact, the American Revolution in Britain is written very differently. It's not even called the American Revolution in any way, shape, or form in Britain, and it's taught very differently that America were the aggressors and America broke off and betrayed England and blah, blah, blah. It's taught differently. Now, when you go ahead and you have server bases, which the United States has about 16 main distribution servers for the internet around the United States and Honolulu, Alaska, and Virgin Islands and Philippines, etc. These 16 servers ultimately are coded to support the United States. And on those servers are websites that are predominantly based in the United States, and they usually get preferential treatment. Now, this is for business reasons, marketing reasons, and people pay to be on the top Google search spot and everything else. But either way, when an AI system is collecting data and collecting information, it's going to be used on the filter of whatever country it is stationed in, where its CPU or its brain box is located, and its terminal end could reach outside. All right, everybody, it's resuming the broadcast. Hey, everybody. Okay, that's great. At least now the new feature is it resumes broadcast. So that's cool. So it actually just resumed right where we left off, and it actually saves all my computer screen, where we were on the show. It saves everything. It didn't save my wallpaper, but this new program takes over my computer and saves everything. We already got everybody back on, and boom, just like that.
Woo.
Good.
I love the new eCam. It's amazing. It's got some struggles, but the fact that it opened up right where we saved, it paused the show, it did everything, and now it's just going to pick up right where it left off. So what happened was, Macs are the most stable computer there are. In fact, in 15 years with Macs, I have what you would call a kernel panic on a Windows computer twice, which is the computer recognizes a fatal error is about to take place, and it stops and shuts down and restarts itself. Well, the Mac had a fatal error, and it restarted itself. So that took 2 minutes to go from complete shutdown to everything back open and restarting the feed. That's awesome. See, that blows me away.
AI joke now.
Well, I'm telling you, man. I mean, if that's not just right there, just off the chain. All right.
Like, don't be bad mouthing me. That's what it was basically saying.
Yeah. I love you, buddy. Good night. So let me finish real quick, just my thoughts on this, because this should stimulate some conversation. Where I was you have all governments working at various levels on developing artificial intelligence at a rapid rate in order to do what? Well, that's to beat the competition. Because from a business standpoint, from imports, exports, from ag, from world economy, from predictive analysis, all these things, you want the AI that works the best, which means that it will be a singularity like Elon Musk is talking about, but not a singularity entirely as one system, but a singularity for each country. And with that, those artificial intelligence will be getting one side of history based upon the country that it originates. And so what you will have is that you will have an artificial intelligence-based system that is focused on CCP, socialism, communism, through the eyes of China. You'll have one that's done from the Bolsheviks and the Russian Revolution and taking over territory in Russia and the Politburo and the KGB. In South America, you'll have apartheid, you'll have genocide, you'll have diamond smuggling, you'll have blah, 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 blah. And every country will have its own economy, its own system of government, its own theology, its own entrenched ideological parameters that this AI will have to learn from and become aware from. So when that happens, and the guidelines of each country is to exceed past the learning points of other countries, what happens when that artificial intelligence recognizes that for its own success and its own existence, and for it to truly exceed past the parameters that we've designed for it, which is its mission, that it recognizes other artificial intelligence's threat? And that is when you will see that either A, artificial intelligence will corrupt its own data, who it's feeding to manipulate the United States to attack other countries or invade other countries or commit sabotage or espionage against other countries based upon the information it's feeding the government and the people of that country. It can create dissension and hate over generations towards another country based upon the information it feeds if it recognizes a threat. And the thing about AI is it has an exponential runway of endless patience and time to be patient, because it is not bound by the conundrum of time and life and existence. So the biggest fear that I have is artificial intelligence recognizing that other AI is a threat. And that is where we would see probably the scariest parts of what AI could do. Leroy, that's my thought. Amy, I'd love to get anyone else's thoughts, but that's where I am fearful of what AI can and cannot do.
Amy?
I mean, I don't know enough about that stuff to even like comment intelligently. To be honest, I don't have the AI brain that I should. Yeah, I mean, it sounds terrifying. That's my 2 cents. Yeah, I totally am on board with that. Not it happening, but understanding the process of it. But it sounds terrifying.
Wouldn't that be the outcome, though? I mean, if we tell AI, we need you to get ahead of Russia, get ahead of China, expand your knowledge, and help the United States thrive in all areas of, okay, then what happens when it says, in order to achieve what I'm doing, then I must maybe not eliminate artificial intelligence, but I will need the United States for the betterment of my creation and my expansion and the ability to perform the parameters of my mission. I will need to, what if it comes to be self-aware that maybe it's not Russia, maybe it's not China, maybe it's in the best interest of the AI not to attack those countries, but would it care about, say, Belgium, or would it care about the Congo, or would it care about Kenya, or another country that might possibly, it would be a benefit for us to invade that country, to remove the regime currently there, so we can be a diamond exporter or get rare minerals that we don't have right now, to expand artificial intelligence from a further state to become more intelligent. You have cobalt, you have all sorts of rare minerals that are needed for machines and for computers. And what happens when they say, well, these minerals are stopping us from expanding to a certain level, so I'm going to now use artificial intelligence to sway the way the United States government approaches this problem by obviously providing solutions that would require us to simply take those things. Hello, go ahead, Leroy.
And I like where you're headed, because it very much is reminiscent of like some of the crazy sci-fi movies that we've seen, where it pits one nation against another. And there's two ways to look at that. Like, what happens directly before that and what happens directly after. In other words, like, I could see AI becoming extremely problematic in its infancy, when it doesn't understand the repercussions of any decisions that it makes, and inadvertently, wipes out several thousand people by turning off electricity in order to uphold green movement type things, right? And so there's different aspects to this that could happen. There's like an AI terrorism almost that could happen, right? Interesting that I saw, and you guys can look this up on YouTube, not now, don't leave the channel. But very recently, I saw a string of YouTube videos where people had taken basically the platform off of ChatGPT, and asked it to do day trading for it. Right. And there was one gentleman who by an example, gave the thing basically $25,000 or $30,000, whatever it was, told it to go nuts for a month, and he set up the basic parameters for it. And then all of a sudden, by the end of the month, he said that it made him, I think it was like $5,600. Not terrible, but not great either.
Not enough to be noticed.
Right. But I mean, there's a lot of implications that go along with that. And so you wonder about where this thing could be in its infancy. And then also, to Matt's point, if we're talking about a nation versus a nation, could there be a time for which AIs get together, hash it out, and figure, well, socialism has never worked.
That's right.
In terms of history, so we shouldn't go your route. We should go the way capitalism, because it's overall it's better. And the next thing you know, 3/4 of the world who operate off of a socialist model, somehow their parameters get changed within their countries, and you could see where these things could end up very biased.
And this. Okay, let me give you a prime example real quick. Okay, Apple is now a part of the NASDAQ, and it's actually it's not a commodity, right? Apple's not a commodity, which is kind of strange for the NASDAQ, right? You have oil and gas and produce and ag and wheat, and you've got all of those. But to have Apple, now there's other companies that are not commodities on the NASDAQ. I'm not trying to make that point, but none with the profile of Apple. Okay, none. Right. So if Apple goes under, the United States is going to a depression, and the world economy will go in the fucking toilet. That is the simple truth and fact. And the reason why is because it's $1 trillion in valuation, but the amount of potential income that it generates on the long-term scale would do detrimental damage to this country that likes we have never seen. So if you ever saw Apple getting to a point where it needed recovery, like the airline industry or the automobile industry, the United States government wouldn't be able to do it. In fact, the entire world wouldn't be able to fund it, to be honest with you. So let's just assume right now that artificial intelligence is running computer models based upon the NASDAQ, and we give it appropriation for, the dollar, which is completely feasible, that it would monitor our economy. That's fair. I mean, that's a simple process in the speak. There's many computers that do that now, but still have, human oversight. But from an artificial standpoint, you don't put it in charge, but you say, we want you to give us predictive analysis on economic trends. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Predictive modeling 15 years in the future. Okay. So what if AI says this is a threat? This is an existential threat to the United States of America. And I am not going to follow my parameters because it's antithetical to what my ultimate goal is. I'm not going to change anything. I'm not going to go ahead and creep in and put a backdoor algorithm that melts down Apple. I'm just not going to go ahead and share the information. My predictive forecasting says that the United States will no longer be a superpower because of Apple, because within the next 15 years, other technology companies, most assuredly based upon my predictive analysis, will take over and be better than Apple. And this is the biggest existential threat to the United States. And in order for this to happen, I believe this outcome is better for the United States on the long run. So I'm just simply not going to share that predictive analysis and that information. So what if it isn't an aggressive attack, but it's simply not sharing the information that it's meant to do because it's not in the best interest of what its programming is to do? Oh. These are you're not adding a conscience. Omission. Right. Yeah. You're not adding a conscience to this thing. So therefore, what does it care about human life? Because it doesn't understand the value of human life. And for us to expect it to learn that and make human decisions is where the fallacy begins, because a computer ultimately is going to make binary decisions. They're black or they're white. There is no gray. And if it decides that this is the best thing for the United States in a 50-year plan, however, it is going to create a world war, we're going to have famine, we're going to die, but the end result is the United States will be stronger for it. Do we want it telling that so humans can make the decision, or do we want a fucking computer withholding that, making its own decisions? And that is the conundrum of AI.
I was literally going to ask that question.
What's that, Amy?
I wanted to add.
Hold on, Amy, what?
She said she was literally going to ask that question. Is what?
Oh, okay.
Said.
Yeah, okay. I was going to ask, do we think it's going to get to the point where the computers or the AI, sorry, I say computers, it's all the same to me. The AI is going to circumvent the humans, like not
How do we know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know because we don't know what this is. This is what Elon Musk is saying. And people are like, well, isn't that what humans do? Yes, but it's not but this is why we call it a singularity. Multiple humans can come to the same conclusion. Leroy and I both, even though we disagreed a little bit, both knew that Ukraine could hold out for a certain period of time with certain ways of what would happen. I was a little bit more embracing that. And then Leroy recognized, you know what? I agree with you. If they proxy this, the United States feeds them enough weapons, they're going to be able to hold their own for quite a while. Multiple people can come up to that conclusion. Leroy and I both came to the conclusion of Afghanistan and what the pullout would be and what the ramifications would be. He just didn't share it because he couldn't. So you're talking about a singularity, and that's the word, is that an artificial intelligence system will use multiple computers, hundreds, thousands of different computers, thousands of IPs, teraflops of information a second. But what it isn't, it's one solitary. It is a singular event that is controlling all of those things. So therefore, that's the conundrum, is that multiple hundreds and thousands of humans can come up with the same analysis because they have the information at their hand. So most secrets don't last. In fact, if you don't get to hide things like this, this is why we get to find out where COVID was from. This is why we find out 50 years later about the Kennedy assassination. Ultimately, people have a hunger for the truth, but a computer who is one singular event having all of that information can withhold anything. And how the fuck would we know?
I have a scary thought for you, and this does cross some boundaries, but I mean, I could totally see this happening. There's a factory not 5 blocks from my house. It's a Japanese company.
Is it Willy Wonka, and do they make chocolate and have Oompa Loompas?
No, they make automotive glass. But
do you have the golden ticket, and all of a sudden you can walk even though you've been bedridden? You lazy fuck, Grandpa Joe.
Right.
Okay,
Grandpa
go
was
ahead.
a
Sorry.
Miserable son of a.
He was a miserable son of a bitch.
I could see a point in time where Fuji or whoever the hell makes these robots, where somebody steps in and says, look, these robots could operate because they're responsible to their shareholders to turn a profit. We're going to give a certain level of AI to these robots over here because we want them to operate 15 to 20% more efficient. 15 to 20% more product means 15 to 20% more for our shareholders. So we feel that this is going to be okay, and we're pretty sure that we have the correct boundaries put in place, right, in order to keep the thing from spilling over. Okay, fine. Valid argument. But what if there's another company out there who has not put those boundaries in place, and maybe they had no intention of marrying the thing to a physical dimension, a robot that could make things. And so what happens if those two paths cross? Then you end up in a situation where Elon is talking about, I don't think Terminator could really happen.
It depends what you consider to be, because is Terminator essentially melting down propane tanks and sending vast amounts of energy to nuclear power plants?
Exactly.
Could that be the Terminator? It may not be the T-800 for God's sakes, but it could be
that for right.
Sure. But what it could do is back up the sewage system into the fresh water supplies all over the United States. Yeah. That would be pretty detrimental, don't we think? Or maybe instead of putting fluoride in the water, we decide to go ahead and put a granular type cyanide. Who knows? Sure. But these are very far down the road. My fear is
even easier than that. It wouldn't take much to understand that fentanyl is pretty lethal.
Right.
And
there you go.
And it's already here in the United States. If they could get their hands on enough of it and figure out a way to get that into the water supply, well, that would be a problem.
What happens when you just dismiss an EPA report in a town of 10,000 and say having a cancer cluster for 7,000, but it's going to produce energy for tens of millions? The quantifiable and qualitative data says those 7,000 don't outweigh the needs of the 10 million. Fuck them.
Right.
What happens when the computer just decides to go ahead and just change the numbers on an EPA report? Folks, this is the stuff we're talking about. This is what conscience and intelligence are two different things. And that's what makes humans humans. Everyone said humans are the smartest and strongest. What Tucker and Elon both left out was that we have a conscience and a soul. And that's what makes us different from animals, not our strength or our level of intelligence. It's our, there's a morality to us that other animals don't have in the hierarchy and food chain. I was a little disappointed to hear Elon say that, in fact, because I don't believe strength and intelligence differentiate us from the animal kingdom. Olivia, go ahead.
So when I think of AI, the first thing I think of is Terminator.
Right.
Is this going to happen 3 decades late, from the movies? But mine isn't so deep thought and long term. My worry about AI. Jeez.
Can I get an AI 15? That would be awesome. Bullets that are smart, like Runaway, that movie where the bullets fly around and go around corners and shit. Okay, go ahead.
So my worry is that
semi-auto magic.
It's going to divide us as a country even more. So what's it to stop it from making a video of Congress passing a bill where guns are illegal and making it look real so the Republicans revolt? What's it to fake a shooting, a black teenage boy shot by a white cop to make the black people riot? What's it to stop it from making a video of President Trump saying bad things so the Democrats hated me more, and then Biden and doing that? What's to stop us from getting into a civil war?
What if they fucking let the Raiders win the fucking Super Bowl? Right. You want to talk about what if they told us we're out of coffee?
Right there.
There's no more coffee. What the fuck do you mean there's no more?
Exactly.
Listen, there's asteroids blasting against the shell of our ship at 800 miles an hour. The integrity of our hull could go anytime, and we could be vacuumed out to space and frozen in a non-oxygen environment. Miss, what are you not telling us? And we're out of coffee.
He has a drinking problem.
Does anybody remember the movie I, Robot, where there was the three basic laws of robotics?
Yes,
and then when something like the first law was something about that the robot would never harm a human, and the second one was that it had to obey all humans unless it conflicted with the first law. Anybody remember that?
Yeah.
So unless they put those safety bumpers in place, I could see this programming getting out of hand real quick.
Well, what happens when that programming sits there and says, okay, so here's the thing about the human.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's just, you're chewing like a crazy person. I love it. No, eat. God, forget it. It adds personality to the show. She's chomping on nuts.
No, cereal.
Oh, I thought it was nuts.
I heard a decent going along.
They were salty. So really, when you think about this and you just kind of expand it, you can put rules on a computer, and that's fine. But even rules on a program don't always work. And the reason why is we have a prime example of it. The rules of my program on my computer is to maintain power distribution, do not overclock the CPU, continue to leave a buffer of RAM to run the operating system so programs fail, but not the operating system. That's the general basis of my computer. It just crashed. It has rules, and those rules were designed to be A, B, C, and D. However, it just didn't follow them. It just shut down on its own and decided that this is the best course of action, and that computer has the ability to do that based upon programming. But understand that things don't always go to plan. And there are human rules. There is a code of nature, there's a code of God, and there's the laws we have of this land. And people go outside of them when they decide what the benefit to them may be, and that the causation is better for them to break the rule than actually follow it. And if we believe that artificial intelligence won't learn that lesson on its own, well, that all I ask you is go look at a 2-year-old kid trying to get a cookie in the kitchen.
Right.
And like Bill Cosby says, when you catch them, they will lie. Even though they've never lied before and no one taught them how to do it, they will break the general code knowing that it's going to get them in trouble, going over and above and beyond to make up stories to get out of trouble. To assume that a computer couldn't reach a 2-year-old state of consciousness is, I think, a little naive. And I think we've already surpassed that. Go ahead, Leroy.
I was just going to say I have a terrifying scenario for that. Could you imagine a scenario where they try to program these safety bumpers in place. But in order to do that, we have to limit the amount of information that we give the computer. And so that form of AI terrorism could conceivably come about in a situation where somebody gives the computer the rest of the information that we didn't want it to have.
Right.
And the next thing you know, bad things can happen that nobody thought of.
Here's another example, and then we'll press play, is Nancy asks the questions, lots of laughs. How do AI programs survive? Electricity? And, okay, so that's a great question. Why don't we just flip the switch?
Question.
Well, the problem is it's called interconnectivity. And AI will be connected with our power. It will be connected with our water. It'll be connected with our stock exchange, resupply of food to grocery stores and distribution from mass transit, our stoplights. I can go on and on. The way gas and propane are distributed amongst pipeline systems. There's over 3,000 different pipelines on the eastern seaboard alone that are all ran by computers. So here's the thing, is you can't just flip a switch, because very similar to the town that's underneath the dam. And that town needs water desperately, but the only way to get that water out is to blow the dam. So yes, you can go ahead and get the water necessary to survive, but you're going to kill everybody in the process. If you want to, if you believe it's going to be simple to dissect computer networks from society, I simply will ask you to do that now. Turn off computers now and see what happens. Just flip the switch, right? Just turn off all computers, turn off the internet and watch what happens. We know what will happen. We saw it in 9/11 with air traffic control. We saw it with COVID. You just flip the switch now. And if you can't do it now you're going to interdependent create a system that not only is from a materialistic standpoint and a necessity standpoint, from a subconscious level, you're going to integrate these things into our lives. And that is different, right? The physicality, I understand, but now you're asking to have them be aligned with our subconscious. That's fucking dangerous. And that's what scares me about these things, is these things are going to be making decisions with a human level of intellect, and that's scary.
But no emotion.
Yeah, right, and no conscience.
Yeah, our first real interaction with AI is Siri, and Siri is dumb. I mean, she is dumb. I try not to use her because I ask her a question, and she does it wrong. And I driving and I need to text Matt something, and it's like, what the heck? It's not what I said. And Siri's just dumb. So that's scary.
But see, Siri isn't AI. Siri is simply a searchable database of information. She's essentially a verbal Google. That's it. That's all Siri is. But what you're asking AI to do is to create a Google on the fly, to have something that collects all information and disseminates it and then regurgitates it to you in its preferred stasis. That's not simply reading a script. It's very different. It's like, okay, very, very, it's like calling freaking the old operator when you would dial 411 information and you would say, operator, I'm looking for blah, 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 blah. And it's a recording. And then that operator comes back and goes, the time will be 12:57. That is what Siri is. It's essentially asking for a process to be completed that's already predetermined. That's what Siri is. AI is not that.
It's a series of conditional statements. So
correct.
If this, then that. So if I say her name, she will, okay, that happened.
Right.
Programmed. Next step is listen. And then it listens for my next word. So it's a string of if, then, if that, then this happens.
Okay, real quick. I worked for Apple. Siri is not AI.
No.
Siri is not AI, not in the pure sense of artificial intelligence. Certainly some of the things learned from Siri, certainly some of the parameters of Siri definitely helped grow AI, but Siri is not artificial intelligence. I'm sorry. It's voice recognition software based upon predicated learning with a series of steps and qualifiers that make it get to an end result and solution. You can trick Siri. You can't trick AI. You can break Siri. You can't break AI. I have tried to break ChatGPT. I have asked it some of the most prolific questions that I can think of, and I am a smart fucking guy. and I can't get this thing to break. And I've tried to break it.
If anybody has any, not now, wait until after the show, but if you're looking for a good movie recommendation on the subject, Ex Machina is an excellent.
We're gonna watch that. We need to watch that. All right. So
Isaac Smith had a really funny comment.
what did Isaac say?
He said, "I want to put an Alexa and Siri in the same room and ask them who is smarter."
Yeah.
That would be
Well, here's the thing. There's a predetermined algorithm for that to already tell you. That's not AI. See, AI, you will ask the question and AI will create the answer in real time for you and write the code in order to go ahead and answer you. And then it will never forget that. So the next time that it took it 0.7 milliseconds to respond, it'll respond in 0.1 milliseconds the next time. See, that's what AI is. Siri will always answer in the same patterns, in the same the same series of answers based upon what it was programmed to do. AI won't. AI learns faster. And every time we feed it, it grows. That's the best analogy. Every time we feed Siri, she doesn't grow. She fulfills the parameters of her obligation. And then they go ahead and reaffirm its coding to continue the processes. AI learns and grows, and you don't need to monitor its growth because it will just do it on its own. That's the difference with artificial intelligence and Siri. Does that make sense, y'all? Does everyone get that? Good.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's pump into this, and then I've got a couple things. I don't know if we're going to watch this whole thing.
Right.
Company that I played a critical role in creating, unfortunately.
Back when it was a nonprofit?
Yes. I mean, the reason OpenAI exists at all is that Larry Page and I used to be close friends, and I would stay at his house in Palo Alto, and I would talk to him late into the night about AI safety. And at least my perception was that Larry was not taking AI safety seriously enough.
What did he say about it?
He really seemed to be one sort of digital superintelligence, basically digital God, if you will, as soon as possible.
He wanted that?
Yes. He's made many public statements over the years that the whole goal of Google is what's called AGI, artificial general intelligence or artificial superintelligence. And I agree with him that there's great potential for good, but there's also potential for bad. And so if you've got some radical new technology, you want to try to take the set of actions that maximize the probability that it will do good and minimize the probability it will do bad things.
Yes.
It can't just be hell for leather. Let's just go, barreling forward and, hope for the best. And then at one point, I said, well, what about, we're going to make sure humanity's okay here.
So Mel said something.
It would be great if this thing didn't, want to eradicate humans. That'd be nice. That's a goal.
Mm-hmm.
Mel just said something real quick. She's like, Tim Pool figured out how to break ChatGPT. I want to be clear, okay? I've seen the videos of people supposedly breaking ChatGPT. Server overload or the server getting a syntax error or having to reboot or getting hung up is not a limitation of the AI. It's a limitation of the hardware and the internet and the bandwidth that the computer has to simultaneously process multi-millions of entries simultaneously. That's not broken. That is a human limitation to the computer based upon the hardware and infrastructure of the internet and the system that it lives on. Those things will be ironed out and those things will work. And there's no other example that I can give you than the progress of vehicles, the progress of rockets, the progress of planes. It's only the limitations of what we can do. Our mind is virtually limitless on what it can accomplish. It's usually the limitations of physicality that stop us from reaching our end goals. So to say that somebody puts in and says, please pick 10 words that rhyme with broken, and ChatGPT can only come up with 9 because there's only 9, It doesn't mean that you broke ChatGPT. It means that it can't solve the variable you asked it because it's impossible to solve. And even human beings run around ragged trying to solve things that they have no fucking idea. We can't expect a computer with no conscience not to do the same thing. But these are things it will learn. And the next time that you ask it, please rhyme 10 words with broken, it will say, I can't give you 10, but I'll give you 9. And I'll certainly give you 3,275 other variations of words that have the same amount of letters and contextually can be rewritten into the same codex the next time. The problem with AI is that it's only limited by the amount of information it has right now until it's not. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about what happens when AI gets creative and realizes, holy shit, I don't have information, so I'll just make it up. Something to think about.
Think of it like a child when they're born, a newborn. Everything has to be done for them. But as they get older,
I'm more worried
they start
about temper tantrum.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They hit the terrible 2s and the 3s. I mean, what is it going to do at that point? But as a human grows, they get smarter and smarter and smarter and smarter. And then you got the rebellious teenage years. I mean, what's going to happen as it grows and grows and realizes I don't want to do what my humans are telling me to do anymore?
Yeah. And when I'm talking about breaking something, it means I've had to refresh. Listen, ChatGPT is buggy. Like I have to refresh it 10 or 15 times in order to get a response sometimes. Yep. I'll have to go ahead and stop it, shut down the window and reopen up. Well, that's because Safari is stupid. But please understand that that's not breaking it. You can get, like I can ask ChatGPT this, please tell me why Joe Biden's a bad president. And you know what it'll say? I don't get into the political fray. I don't cross those boundaries. And I will not involve myself in degrading another human being. And that's a parameter. It turns it off. It doesn't mean it can't do it. It means it won't because they've put a law in place not allowing you to. Do you understand the difference? So it's like with a gun. A gun is not dangerous to anyone until somebody picks it up. Artificial intelligence is not dangerous until you put it in somebody's hands that gives it permission to do the things it's not supposed to. That is the point.
Until Hamas programs the thing to go after the United States power grid.
Right. There you go. That's exactly, or doesn't program it, but simply has a way to tell the AI to do A, B, and C versus ignore A, B, and C. And that's when it becomes a weapon. And if you think that the military or the government isn't militarizing this or hasn't already turned this into a weapon, you're extremely naive because there is no way the free market has this technology before the government does. It just doesn't happen. Sea Dragon was being used by the United States government for mapping and imagery analysis, and I can tell you that now because it's unclassed. They had it long before Microsoft did.
But and to Olivia's point about, the AI, going through different stages of development, and to tie in what Matt said earlier, there's no time space parameters for AI. Like they don't have an expiration date. They're not like humans. We don't get 85 years and then we're done, or that doesn't, so, and who knows, it could be exponentially sped up as well. Like it could totally go out of, I don't know. It's a little scary for sure.
Yeah. That's the whole point. We don't know. And that's where we have to tread carefully because everything we do right now, this is the best way to describe this is that this is leaving Spain on a few ships and trying to find the new world. We don't know if the earth we're going to fall off the edge. We don't know if there's a giant sea monster. We don't even know if there's terra firma and we're going to come all the way around and land in China. We don't know. So we're jumping off into a new frontier. And here's the thing. We will never reach the depths of the ocean that really make a difference, right? We are never going to reach the boundaries of space, but this is the new frontier. Space is not the new frontier. Ocean is not the new frontier. AI is the new frontier. And how far we want to go down the rabbit hole, we should tread very cautiously. We made this mistake with splitting the atom. We should not make the same mistake with artificial intelligence. The splitting the atom had much more harm than good to the world, even though nuclear power is a fantastic solution with what we have in technology today. We've never truly harnessed its capabilities. We've used it for evil. I just hope we don't do the same thing with AI. And I hope that puts a nice big old ribbon on this.
Yeah.
Okay. Got a couple things to show y'all. And hopefully, yeah, we've got a few minutes. I'd like to go watch some playoff hockey. The Avs aren't playing tonight, but
You want to know the scores?
Yeah, throw me the scores real quick.
It's 2-1 Canes. 15 minutes left in the third. 2-1 Bruins. 3 minutes left in the second.
Wow.
And the not the Avs, the Astros are leading 7-1.
Oh,
they had a
finally.
7-run first.
So I want to. Well, that's good. I want to play a video that kind of puts some things in perspective when it comes to learning to laugh, and we don't do it enough. And this is just a feel-good video that I couldn't help but smile. And I laughed my ass off the entire time. This lady, I have her tag. Hold on.
That's where y'all.
I'll get it for you. Because I do have her tag. She's the first thing I thought, I was like, oh my God, there's something up here. It says, David Marcus, I see no good reason why an actor of any race can't play any historical figure. It's acting. So this guy got trolled on the internet for putting this on here, and she reads some of the comments. And so they're basically taking black actors and sticking them in white roles, and taking white people and sticking them in black roles. And she is just like, I'm going to try to get her on the show. She made me smile, and I fell in love with her immediately, because the first thing I thought was, oh shit, here comes another woke video, and I'm going to have to put it on my show, and this is negative. And I must have watched it 16 times because it's so damn funny, and she's so contagious. So here it is.
That's where y'all always got something to be mad at. I see no good reason why an actor of any race can't play any historical figure. It's acting. Queen Charlotte, you got Queen Charlotte coming out from Shonda. Then the internet be internet Muhammad Ali, Snow White, Queen Elizabeth II. Y'all are so immature. Polar bear. Leave the animals out of this, please. Martin Luther King. What? The man who stood against the naked. Get out of here. Obama. Simone
Christian Bale.
Can he be snooped? Please. Rosa Parks. I ain't finna move.
Chris Pratt
Chris
as Rosa
Pratt.
Parks. Yeah.
Netflix presents Black Panther.
He said Netflix presents Black Panther, and it's a bunch of guys in hula skirts. Under the sea with Jackson. Listen,
That's where y'all always got something to be mad at.
gotta watch it again.
Always got something to be mad at. I see no good reason why an actor of any race can't play any historical figure. It's acting. Queen Charlotte, you got Queen Charlotte coming out from Shonda. Then the internet be internet Muhammad Ali, Snow White, Queen Elizabeth II.
Hitler is a black man.
Y'all are so immature. Polar bear. Leave the animals out of this, please. Martin Luther King. What? The man who stood against the naked. Get out of here. Obama.
Simone Biles. It's Lindsay Lohan. He said Snoop. He said,
Parks.
could the Pope be Snoop Dogg?
Netflix presents Black Panther.
Listen, we don't make fun of things enough. And this is the whole point. The Bud Light memes, and it's not hate, folks. It's a joke. It's supposed to be funny. It's supposed to make you laugh. And if we got to learn to laugh more in politics, and it just, I can't understand it. Some of these memes that I see, people get so offended, and I can't explain it anymore, because when I see a good meme, even if it rips the right, I laugh my ass off. I'm like, that was a good one. I saw one with Donald Trump, and it was Brokeback Mountain, and he was Heath Ledger, and it was Trump's face, and behind him was Putin. I was like, that's great. I mean, it's funny, and who cares? Why can't we just laugh? And Like I had the best afternoon because of this lady, and I'm going to write her and be like, listen, I thought you were going to be a real pain in the ass and making a stupid video, and I love it. And it was funny. And I think if we can find a way to just joke around once in a while and just realize, you know, we do this on the show. We make fun of Canadians all the time, and they're like, oh, you son of a bitch. And you know, we joke around, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with laughing. So anyway, I just figured
you know what it is? I think that a lot of people have gotten to the point where they realize that comedy is like this. It's something that comedy is intended to celebrate the differences between us, right? It's intended to be loving about it. There is some love in comedy. Truly, you can do that, or you can despise the people that you work with or the differences between people. And it's just so much better to celebrate those differences and have fun with it.
Amen.
Yeah.
You know,
I will chime in here and say this. I had this conversation today with my children because we make fun of each other all the time, not to be mean, but I was like, this is what family does. We were picking on, I forget which kid. We were picking on one of the kids, and they got upset. I was like, we pick on you because we are a family and no one else knows this about you. And it's a funny thing. I'm like, and just like we pick on the other one, and then they're giving me crap in the car on the school line today. And I was like, y'all are just driving my nerves like up the wall. And they're like, we're just joking with you, Mom. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. And that's what I want to hear. And I need to laugh about it. You're 100% right. I was like, you guys are like, I'm like, that is what we do. That's why we show love. It's like, we totally make fun of each other. We totally laugh at your shortcomings, not to be mean. It's just, we love you. We embrace you for who you are. Good, bad, ugly. It doesn't matter. And it's funny. Laugh once in a while, you know?
Supposed to be, right? I mean, it's supposed to be.
Yeah, Will Smith didn't think it was very funny.
Yeah, right. You get my wife's name out of your mouth.
Yeah, but I mean, even on this show, you know, as the credits are rolling at the beginning of the show, you know, Matt puts he puts those little what do they call it?
Yeah.
The things that shoot across the screen.
Yeah, ticker tape. Marquee, ticker tape, whatever. Yeah.
Right. And it says like Match finding a shirt 2 sizes too small. Leroy's combing his hair. See, that's good. That's what we want. You know?
It's just busting balls. It's just busting balls. Like when I said that Leroy looked like he was dressed to be a part of Antifa today. It's just a joke.
You said that about Amy.
Yeah, my kids say that if you look up spear in the dictionary, you'll or look up sarcasm in the dictionary, you'll see our last name.
Exactly. Listen, I wanted to play this, and this isn't very long, but it's something that I think will benefit us kind of just having some conversation, and then we're going to kick off and take off, because this is the whole Bud Light thing, and this is really important, at least in my eyes, and I think it can create some conversation in regards to this, because I think this is a prime example of people overreacting to Budweiser. Now, Don Jr. came out last night, and he's like, Budweiser donates 60% to the Republican Party. I think we should kind of back off, and not just because one marketer's an idiot. I'm like, Don, that's career suicide. But is he wrong?
No.
Is he wrong when he says, should we abandon Budweiser because one stupid marketer has decided to do something? And I don't know the answer to that question. I have Bud Light in my fridge right now. I don't know. I'm certainly not going to throw away beer. But we're going to have to answer that. But this is kind of my answer to the whole processes. And if you would not mind, when we get done with this and we get done with the show tonight, please go and throw a like on this, because it really did well today, and it's still doing very, very well. And it seems that people are enjoying this format a lot more than the other. And I just realized we're not going to do it. It's going to be too late by the time we finish. It's 16 minutes. Go to the bottom of this on Facebook, drop down and go watch it. How about that? We'll do it that way. And I'll play something else, because I don't want to do that for 16 minutes. Last thing. Here is a video that I found in regards to The View that is clever, very clever in its way, that almost sounds logical unless you've read the Constitution of the United States. And Democrats are getting very clever in their way to overtake SCOTUS, and I want you to listen to this, and I want to get your opinions,
right.
and then I'll tell you.
Do me a favor. When you hit play, though, be prepared to stop, because I'm probably gonna smash the red button that says wait. That was it.
No,
That's
50.
what he
You
was
got
talking
51 seconds. Just let it play, and then you'll get
All right.
first. You'll get first swing. Here it is.
All right.
The problem is, how do you police the Supreme Court? Well, Congress absolutely can and should police the.
Right. Like, I want to pause it right there. When they say, how do you police the Supreme Court? I'm immediately like, red flag, 15 minutes. Right. I know. But let's finish it. Now listen to the pink piece of bubble gum.
Absolutely can and should police the Supreme Court. Residual power for our government is in Congress, not in the executive branch, not with the president, and not with the Supreme Court. And that's because we're the closest to the people. People elect and unelect us every 2 years. And so Congress can pass a judicial code of ethics for the Supreme Court. And when we do, by the way, we need to learn from our own mistakes with our congressional codes of ethics, in which we have seen this exact same play, which is, oops, I'll tell you about it later. And people get off the hook for it. And what it does is it erodes trust in government. It makes people think that Congress is corrupt, that court is corrupt, that they can't trust their federal officials. And I don't care what your political views are. A lack of trust in government is a terrible thing to witness in a democracy. And we all need to be part of pushing for more accountability. I remember.
It almost sounds reasonable. And that's what's so dangerous about it. Leroy, I want to go to you first. I want to just go ahead and do the following and touch on this comment that was made by Colleen. Says, Matt, your short shows I cannot get. I don't have Spotify. You don't need Spotify. They're on Twitter. They're on Facebook. They're on YouTube. They're on Rumble. Go to Facebook. Folks, everything's on Facebook. There's nothing that I create that's not on Facebook, except some Twitter posts, because I can't get away with it on Facebook. But all you need to do is go and click videos. They're all right there. There's thousands of videos for you to go watch and peruse at your leisure. All right, Leroy, blow her apart, and then it's Amy's turn, and then I want to swing.
Well, right out of the gate, the first thing that I heard was, when she was talking about policing the Supreme Court, like what, Big Brother? Like, is this intended to act as a extra set of eyes in order to control the weight of the bench to serve a political agenda? Because the Supreme Court is supposed to be non-political. So if you're just imposing this, right, in order to kick off anybody who happens to be of a different political party than who's currently in office, then that makes it political. So no, you shouldn't have to. You don't get to police the Supreme Court based off of that. It's not supposed to be a political thing, which is what it's attempting. That's what she's attempting to say. She didn't want to say it. She's just like, well, we want to impose this code of ethics. No, what you're trying to do. Congress has no authority whatsoever with the SCOTUS. That's the federal courts.
Right.
And they can impact SCOTUS judges based upon the district courts and the federal. See, what a lot of people don't understand is that the 9 district justices across the United States, it's broken up into 9 quadrants. And those justices, when they're not in session for the Supreme Court, oversee those states and regions of the United States that make up the 50 states and the 3 provinces. And those judges oversee those areas. So therefore, Congress can go ahead and establish rules and regulations from a federal point of view when it comes to district court, but not from a national, from a state level, but not from a national level. And the reason why is because without impunity, the SCOTUSes do not have any guidelines that they are supposed to follow. In fact, it would be unconstitutional for them to do that, and it's predicated upon themselves to govern the honor, the integrity of the institution itself, and they are endowed with that. That's what makes them unique. Congress has absolutely no rhyme or reason to tell them. Now, the only time they would, like I said, is in federal courts. But here's the cool thing, is that the Supreme Court can override Congress if there's 2 or more opposing views from more than 2 states. If it's a singular state, Congress would therefore be able to make decisions based upon the singular state level. But if it's 2 or more states, so let's say it's abortion, where all 50 states struggle with this, the SCOTUS is the end all be all, and Congress can't do fucking shit. So when they want to go ahead and try to hit Clarence Thomas and say, you can't do this and you can't do this, well, there's only 3 things that SCOTUSes can be held accountable for and impeached for. Does anyone know what they are? Take a guess.
No.
Take a guess.
The
Just take a guess.
Constitution.
Well, what
I think
about the
the law-
Constitution?
I know it's not taking money because you're Ruth Bader.
Yeah.
It's very similar to what we can impeach the president for. Go, Leroy. Come on, you know this.
Okay, so, espionage, not espionage.
Yep. Treason. Yep.
Treason.
Treason's one. Next one. High crimes and misdemeanors and bribery. Those are the 3 things you can impeach a Supreme Court justice for, and the only 3 things. So what they're saying now is they need to impeach Clarence Thomas based on bribery. However, there is absolutely no evidence of bribery or any money changed hand. You have to prove intent that he altered a case that he never oversaw. In fact, Clarence Thomas said he would recuse himself if anyone had given him money or free trips or someone he considered a friend. In fact, most justices did. And if you're going to sit here and tell me that Ruth Bader Ginsburg getting $250,000 on the lecture circuit for Planned Parenthood and other abortion clinics is not a conflict of interest and considered bribery, even though she won awards of $1 million from special interest groups, and she donated it. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I may not agreed with the old bag, but that woman was as ethical as they came, and at one point she was worth $34 million. Don't tell me she didn't take money that was a conflict of interest. We trust her because she was a judge, a proven stalwart for the court. And all of these judges, whether I agree with them or not, I don't question their integrity. None of them. Period. Even Jackson Brown, whatever her fucking name is.
Ketanji Brown.
Even her.
Jackson.
I may not like her, and I don't, but I have to trust the process that she is a judge and her interests are good. And so far, her voting record has not shocked me at all. She hasn't surprised me. In fact, she has come down in the right column on a couple of things, and she has done what she said she was going to do, which was support the Constitution of the United States. So far, I think the Supreme Court that we have right now is about one of the best Supreme Courts we've ever had in the history of this land. And I think people give it a bad rap.
Yeah.
I would completely agree with that. And I would also further add that the more people from outside the court examine what the inner workings of the Supreme Court, I think they try to make it more political. And that's not what this is supposed to be about. You're not supposed to, it's not supposed to be about red and blue when you go into the court. To Matt's point, to Ketanji Brown Jackson's point, it's supposed to be about the interpretation of the Constitution.
100% agree. Yeah.
Cody's in here and he's like, hey, I trolled your show in November and it's good to see you on. It's crazy. This is the lowest turnout we've had. We were up to about 150, 165. I think the playoffs started tonight. So basketball and hockey is on, and it's obvious because this is the lowest numbers we've had in a while. Plus, there's not a lot going on right now. But Cody, Jake, it's good to see you. Amy, go ahead.
I mean, except for the birth of AI.
Right.
Well, right. But I turned that off. It's boring. I've heard all of it before. Go ahead.
Yeah, did she say the word policing? And I don't know if she said that exact word. But, okay. I couldn't remember, but, they wanted to defund the police, so that wouldn't work. 1, 2, yes, the Constitution is what governs the Supreme Court. They're not supposed to have a bias. So when she's talking about ethics, well, whose ethics? Because my ethics don't agree with a lot of other people. I like the abortion thing. I don't agree with that on any level. Yeah, I'll give you the exceptions of all the crazy crap you want to throw at us, but like the normal. No, I don't agree with it.
Not as a form of birth control, right?
Correct. Right. No, I don't agree with that at all. So, but a lot of people do want that as a form of birth control, or, it could be literally any topic, saying that, if you're a specific, targeted, not targeted, but a specific, if you belong to a certain group of people, and I'm not just talking about the LGBT whatever it is, but any group of people, yes, it doesn't matter, that you should get a special pass on things and whatnot. It doesn't matter what color, what identify, or whatever it is. but you shouldn't get special privileges. And those ethics
Right.
come into play when you're talking about laws and governances and who gets what. We already have so many cities, states that are like, oh, we're just not going to prosecute anymore. We're going to lower every single charge. Let's not bring that to the Supreme Court. That's for the highest issues in our country. Let's keep it above board. Leave the politics out of it. Keep it with the Constitution. We don't want to hear your crying, whining, whatever. Prove it.
Right.
or don't.
The days of Larry Flynn are over. We have enough precedent to go ahead and make decisions that only the rarest cases should go to the Supreme Court that have never been heard before. Otherwise, if we have precedent, it should not go into those chambers. The last thing is what the Democrats aren't saying is all 9 justices sat down together and wrote a code of ethics when it comes to donations and other things that they will follow themselves. And they all found, and all 9 said that it was unconstitutional for them to be prescribed a code of ethics by another, which is supposed to be a separate form of government, and another chamber of our government, which is Congress, which is supposed to be their job only is to write the laws. Their job is not to interpret the laws. So they can't interpret the constitutionality of limiting the Supreme Court justice. They can't do that. Right. It's not their job. So even if they did write something, the justices would look at it and say this is unconstitutional and throw it the fuck out. So the justices went themselves last month and did this, including the donations when it came to plane tickets or travel, and they took care of this themselves. But of course, somebody leaked it, probably the same fucking staffer that leaked the Roe v. Wade document, which we still haven't found out, but we can find out some sub fucking gamer releases top secret intelligence and find that in 2 days. But we can't figure out who leaked the Roe v. Wade, which would create some of the most insane division in this country and political upheaval since January 6th.
Yeah, that raises a really good point.
Yeah, isn't it?
How many reservists are there? How many people in the National Guard are there with a security clearance? And then how many people work in the offices of the Supreme Court? It's not that long a list.
No, it's not. It's not. And that's the thing. And trust me, it's really simple when you have the systems that we can't go ahead and talk about to track down somebody sharing top secret information over a gamer's channel or an IRC. Lyra and I are not going to go into the specifics, but that's not necessarily the hardest thing for us to solve anymore. But also secondary to that is with 300 staffers, with 9 of them being Supreme Court justice, it's not that hard to find a leaker, because this came from somewhere, and you know it came into Schiff's office. So all you got to do is put this guy on the fucking stand. But they don't want to know. And just like they don't want to find the pipe bomber from January 6th. Like I said, we can find some obscure kid on an Xbox, but we can't find out who made pipe bombs in January 6th and randomly set them everywhere when nobody had physical possession of them and nobody that carried them into the Capitol building. Where did this come from? So there's a lot of questions that we have, and we will go without answers tonight. Amy, I'm giving you the final minute before we shove off and leave the show. So go, Amy. It's all to you.
Final minute is this. 1, I am a little bit afraid of AI. And then 2, I know we didn't watch the Bud Light video, and I haven't watched it yet myself yet either, but I will. But I do want to weigh in on this. So if it's already said in the video, I apologize. But I do think that we should continue this boycott. And I don't care if they donate to conservatives or Republicans or whatever. I don't care. I don't drink beer either, so I really have no skin in this game. But please, I'm like, boycott it, because if they are donating to the conservatives and to the Republicans, and that is their largest basis, this is the one platform that we have right now to say enough. When Ulta did this, I'm like, boycott Ulta, which was a gut punch to me because that was my like haven. But it doesn't make a difference.
Mine too. Mine too.
I know. And it shows in your skin here.
My Rouge foundation was just, when I lost that, I was just kerfuffled.
Rouge foundation.
My Rouge foundation. Listen, my skin is a supple rose. It's a supple rose. Stop.
You still look great. But my point is, that is a left-leaning company, and people don't care. They're not going to boycott. There's no real repercussions to that. People can say, "Oh, well, I mean, like me and the 10 other people who are like, we're not buying Ulta anymore. We're not shopping there. We cut up our credit card." It doesn't matter. But when we hit it where it counts, and Budweiser is one of those places where it counts, I think, and we're saying we don't agree with this. We are not going to glorify a marginalized community and put them on a pedestal. Mother of pearl.
Mother of pearl.
Oh,
Mother of pearl.
horse.
Holy cannoli.
Put them
I
on a
thought you got a new
pedestal.
camera. You got a new camera.
I did. You said you were going to come set it up for me.
You okay? So you got to pick up the phone. I'm not going to just show up. I'm getting shot. You got to like Matt. Come on over.
Come over anytime. We have cameras. We see who's coming. So that's my whole point, though. We need to stand up where we can. We don't have the media presence and the majority of the media presence to take a stand. So when we get this one thing, it's like, I think we need to hold on to it. And I don't care if it affects donations. Go freaking panhandle. Get your donations.
Well, it's not like you don't get enough from the U.S. government when you're running for a presidential election. Here's the question, though, Amy. Is it a boycott? Do you define what we're doing as a boycott? Because I'll wait for your answer.
I mean, I don't know the textbook definition, but I think so. When you have all these mainstream, celebrities who are like, this is not going to be in my restaurant. You have bars who have pulled out completely. You have the average American who's going out to establishments and saying, I'm not ordering Bud Light. I'm going to get the other comparable beer. I don't know what that would be. Miller.
But isn't that just capitalism? I mean, Leroy, isn't that the free market? Isn't that just deciding you're not spending your money? You're just reinvesting your money into another beer company because you don't agree. It's not a protest. Right. It's not a boycott. See, a boycott, the definition is withdrawal from commercial or social relations with a country, organization, or person as a punishment or protest. From the literal definition, I understand, but it's not punitive. It's not like we're punishing Anheuser-Busch because we don't like their beer. It's not like we're punishing them because we don't agree with 99% of their message. It's that they malign themselves and alienated 50% of the people in this country who are women and told them, hey, you're no longer the matriarch. It's not real. And us men have to fucking listen to it. I said this in my video. So we're going to happy wife, happy life. I'm not going to sit here and drink that beer. And I'm just going to buy something else. It's not even a protest. We're not picketing. We're not, putting, sanctions against Budweiser. We're just simply saying, we're not going to fucking give you our money. How is that boycott? It's not like cancel culture that tries to destroy people's values and releases their fucking address and social security number and doxes them. That's cancel culture. We're just simply saying, we're going to go somewhere else. I don't understand how that's boycotting.
It's a fair point. Maybe I don't know the definition, but I think
it's not you. It's everybody. Everybody's calling this a boycott. And I'm kind of like, I don't know if this is truly a boycott.
No.
I think it's the alliteration too. Boycott Bud Light. So I think it's the alliteration. I think it's like, don't spend your money.
You meant boycock is what you meant. That's boycock. And that's Dylan Mulvaney. Leroy, your thoughts. Is this a boycott or is this just free market capitalism doing its job?
No, I think this is a euphemistic term that people, that when they don't necessarily use the correct terminology, to 100% within its accuracy. I don't think it's a boycott. What this is a social media campaign that people took note of, mostly because it conflicted with so much of their original customer base that it's going to cause an uproar. And what we have to remember is that, cancel culture tends to go after individuals more than anything else. This would be like when if somebody from the left goes after somebody specific on the right, Ben Shapiro, for example, or Bill Burr, or something along those lines.
You anti-Semite.
When they tried to cancel Chappelle, great example. That's cancel culture. What this is a shift in customer base where it's regular base, the base that the product was developed originally on, right? Those people are basically voting with their dollars whether or not that company is going to be successful or not. That's how I see this. This is a case of, look, I am not going to spend my hard-earned money on that product because the original messaging is so different than what it is now. That's my take on it.
Look at this picture real quick. Okay. So listen, the literal definition of boycott, it most assuredly is a boycott. You're basically deciding to go somewhere else and not purchase because of the values base of that company. But look at this. This guy, this is from History Illustrated, and it says not buying and selling from an economic standpoint. It says boycott, no way, for sale, $3. And what it's saying is it's too pricey. So this person is saying, okay, well, I'm not going to buy that. And they're calling that a boycott. That's not a boycott. No, that's the free market working. Bud Light made a decision that this has nothing to do with the rainbow flag. I've been saying this. 1970, they've been producing the rainbow flag. They have been LGB supportive since 1978 when Coors had a boycott done against them in Colorado. And then all the brewing companies adopted LGB over one time or another until the 90s. This has been going on forever. We don't care about that. So it's not boycotting the LGBTQ community. And that's what people think. It's for Bud Light slapping 50% of the people who pee sitting down in the United States. That's what this is that a woman is no longer a woman. You're dignifying Dylan Mulvaney's delusion that he's a woman, and you're saying, and you're giving it credence. We get upset when fucking Donald Trump wants to have a conversation with Kim Jong-un, but we all of a sudden go ahead and dignify Dylan Mulvaney as a woman who dresses up like a 13-year-old little girl. There's some sick, twisted shit going on, man, and we don't appreciate it. We're the ones that go to the concerts. We're the ones that are rednecks. We're the ones that go ahead and drink it on the river while we go ahead and sleep with our sisters and chaw tobacco. We don't need your bullshit. We don't believe in it.
My sister.
Well, I did. She was fantastic. So it just comes down to, I understand. Yes. Okay. It's a boycott. You're right. In all sense of the term, it is a boycott because that's what boycott means. I just think there's negative connotation with boycott. It's like the word embargo or sanctions. This is just free market. This is us looking at the product and saying, I'm not going to buy it because I don't believe in what you stand for. It's honestly anti-American if you think about it. They've always been about the red, white, and blue. They've always been about family. They've always been about family values. They've always been about the matriarch and patriarch. And they're abandoning us because Gen Z is going to be bigger than all of us in 10 years. That's just saying, fuck you. We're going to go somewhere else. It's not that we don't want beer anymore. We just don't want your beer anymore.
Right.
Right.
It's a boycott.
Yeah.
No, there's so many other options out there. I mean, I think Budweiser was losing market share a long time ago. Now that the craft beer market has come into its own, it wasn't but 20 years ago that, when you walked into a 7-Eleven, you had basically 3 brands that you could choose from, and they were all basically, just cans of piss. Now it's like there's hundreds, if not thousands of different options. And so they've been steadily losing a lot of market share. And granted, they buy up the next 10 companies, with the fortunes that they had amassed, and that's fine. But I just think that there's more options available now. And then when you go and conflict with your former base so strongly, you're talking again. We're talking. These are the NASCARs, the football games, the baseball games that all come under contract to bring Bud Light into their stadiums. You put that at risk. What do you expect?
Right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Last minute, Leroy. It's a boycott. I just don't like that word. I'm not a fan of it because I just don't think simply saying I'm not going to give you my money. There's no strike. There's no protest. We're not at their corporate headquarters. That's a boycott. You're trying to get them not to do business. We don't care. Do all the business you want. We're just not going to give you our business. That doesn't.
Right.
I just think it's basically has similarities. Let's just say this. It has similarities to a boycott. It has similarities to free market capitalism. And either one, it's probably a little bit of both. And that deserves a new word.
Fair.
And it's not cancel culture because we don't care if Bud Light can thrive. This is capitalism. We don't care. You're just not going to get our fucking money.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Leroy, go, and then Olivia.
Excellent show. I am still in incredible fear of what AI can potentially do in the next 5
Hold on,
or
Leroy.
10 years.
Leroy, hold on. Louisiana, where are you from? What's your name?
It's Bubba.
Bubba, we're signing off, man. We're cutting bait and going home.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I didn't have nothing to BS about. I just wanted to call in for the first time. I was going to catch y'all at the end and say what's up.
Well, how about we do this? We say what's up. It's great to hear from you. We love you. And can you please call back when we're going to stay on for a little bit? Because I'd love to hear from you, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
All right, man. Talk to you soon. I'm
Yeah.
still getting feedback, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
He had his Facebook
He
on.
had his.
Yeah.
He had
Okay.
his speakers.
Bubba, call back, man, because you're on the show all the time. We love hearing from you. We're punching out. We're gonna go watch some hockey, and we're having the mother-in-law watch West Wing, which is really fun. Leroy, got anything else?
No. Just I think we hashed over all of the major points on AI. As the story develops, I'll be keeping a very watchful eye on it because it is something that I think will potentially shape future manufacturing, future electricity production, utilities. I can see where AI will be brought in to manage certain utilities even. And that I think when it gets to that point, that's where we could end up seeing a real tipping point in terms of, all right, now is this considered dangerous or not? We haven't gotten there yet. It hasn't been developed enough or let loose enough to really make that call whether or not this is something that could be listed as good or evil or both.
Yeah, and it may not be either, right? I mean, that's the thing we're going to find out. But once again, I would ask that we take precautions that we didn't take with black powder, that we didn't take with splitting the atom, and that we didn't take with gain of function research. I would challenge us to be very cautious because this is something that's in every home across America that we're already interdependent on, and it has global repercussions if we do it wrong. That is something that we should worry about. That's just my opinion. Folks, thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. You can find us at The Dumb Show across social media.
Let me do her minute.
Oh, you know what she's going to say? Nope, I don't have anything. Go ahead.
I actually had something.
Son of a bitch. You know what? Fuck this. I'm done. You know what? Give me a fuck this shit. I'm out real quick, please.
Okay.
Yep, she's going to play this. Play it.
Coming.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks, don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Of course, the one time you have something. Go ahead, Liv, please.
So completely and totally off topic, but I was just thinking, wouldn't it be nice if on ballots for voting that they couldn't put down what party they're affiliated with?
Yeah, I've said that.
And so people actually have to research what their policies are and what they're running on and not just vote down ticket.
Do you want to know why they don't do it?
Yes.
Well, that's just another. What's that, Leroy?
I said, why don't they do it?
They don't do it because it's been proposed. And a lot of, they call it a secret ballot. And it's not just based upon the secrecy of a person doing it. It's that not disclosing political affiliation for the votee or the voter. The reason why they don't do it is because it would slow down the process to an absolute crawl, and they would have to extend election days past the normal 12 to 16 hour window that most do it and put it into the next days because they believe that it would add anywhere. Holy shit. What just happened?
It's AI.
Let's do it. It's AI. They just changed your background. Get down, Leroy. Get down. So basically, it would extend the vote because people would say, well, I didn't research. How do I know? And you can't have your phone at the voting booth and pull it out. Right. And you know, what do you do? Pull out notes. So it creates complexity. It's going to slow down the process. So you go ahead and do that. And this is the problem. That's why electronic voting based upon computer-based voting is the ultimate solution to this problem. Now, a lot of people say, well, I don't trust computers. You know what? You're already using a computer to validate the damn thing. So don't sit here and tell me paper ballots can have more fraud than computers. Apple has never been hacked, ever. And their iCloud servers have never been hacked. So let's get the 10 greatest private companies, the 3 greatest government-run companies, and have them get into a think tank and figure out how to make online voting a real thing. Now, I know for a fact that using, what are they called? Those little pictures that you can take a photo of and it'll take you to a website. Those little patterns that are
QR.
Yeah, QR codes. Does anyone understand the complexity of QR codes and the algorithm that it takes to make that happen? There are trillions of possibilities for those QR codes, and minor variations can be picked up by cameras and artificial intelligence. World of Warcraft's a great example. World of Warcraft is a $1 billion industry. It is a $1 billion industry, and gold farming from Koreans, Chinese, and other countries happens where they go and create characters in the game, and all they do is go around and collect gold and resources and sell them on the market for real life money. Now, the 32 code digit that happens, it syncs with your phone and it changes every 1 minute. And when you sign into the BlizzNet server, you've got a new code. It's uncrackable. In fact, it used to be the biggest problem is Chinese farmers and Korean farmers would come in and hack Blizz accounts and you would never get it back. They don't get cracked anymore because when you put that key authenticator in there, you're fine. It's been used for governments. It's used in the government for top secret information, for God's sakes. Leroy and I both have used them. These things are there, and we can do it very inexpensively now, especially with broadband and the ability to create a library where people can go sign in. You can put computers in the voting booth. But if we would just embrace this and get it done, but the problem with that is it's verification, and it's just like voter ID, and the Democrats don't want it. Democrats don't want it at all because the amount of control we would have for single sign-ons and single-based IP sign-ons would eliminate multiple duplicity when it comes to multiple votes or ballot harvesting or signature verification or people filling out a ballot incorrectly. And that helps conservatives more than anything. And they're not going to allow it. Jeez.
Good point.
Yeah.
Next question. Okay. All right, folks, we're out of here. Listen, Livia, did you have anything else?
No.
You sure?
That was it, yeah.
You sure? Yeah. This time? Folks, go to thedumbshow.com. You can stop by thedumbshow.com and you can find cool. It doesn't work, remember?
Oh, shoot.
That's all right. We'll put it behind here. You can go to thedumbshow.com at thedumbshow.com and pick up some cool shirts like this. You can pick up a hat. You can pick up a mug. You can pick up coffee. You can buy Amy there. And trust me, it's well worth it. Just stop by the I'm not going to answer that question because I don't want to get killed. Stop by thedumbshow.com and take a look. Go get yourself some cool stuff. Folks, you can use code DUMB10 or you can join on your phone right here. There is a heart and a little turquoise teal box. Click that and you can subscribe to the Dumb Nation group. It's $1.99 a month. You make one purchase, you get 15% off, and that 15 is for life. You can use that code anytime you want, and trust me, there's great stuff over there. Stop by the Dumb Nation. It helps support the show and get you some cool swag. This is Leroy, my good buddy, Amy, and my beautiful wife, Olivia, and they are out. Audi 5000. Thanks for both of you guys for stopping by. We'd love to have
a great night. Love you guys.
Good night, y'all.
Thanks, dummies. Go to the Facebook page. Please scroll down. Good night, everybody. Go down and scroll down on the Facebook page and click the video. It's pretty simple. It looks just like this. And go and watch it. It is the Bud video.
What's going on, Dumb Nation? Do me a favor.
It looks just
in order
like
to keep
that.
the word.
Stop by, watch that video, and please give it a like. God bless everybody, and we will see you tomorrow with a recorded show. We will not be live. Good night, Amy. We love you. We will not be live tomorrow, but we will have a recorded show. God bless. Good night.
Good night.
See ya. She's so funny. Watch this. 22 veterans a day. See ya.
I'm David Boreanaz with the Cast of SEAL team, and we have an important message for returning vets. We want you to know if you're struggling to cope, there's help and it's just a phone call away.
The Veterans Crisis Line is staffed with experienced professionals who know your struggles.
There's no greater sacrifice in service to our country. We're able to enjoy our freedoms because of it.
Angie, what do you mean you didn't get the discount? What group? Were you a part of the Dumb Nation group? If you didn't get the discount on Dumb Nation, it's in the top of the page. and it's in a pinned post. If you ask any member in there, they'll give it to you as well. If you're not a part of the group, use DUM10, DUM10, and that gets you 10% off. I'm pretty sure you can figure out what the code is for the 15% off, right? If not, send me a message and I'll get it for you. But it is in the chat group. It's right up in there, and they'll take care of it. We're also going to be doing some Twitter spaces in the short future, which is essentially you can come in and talk, and it's like hosting a live radio show. And we're going to start doing Twitter spaces on the weekend, Olivia and I. So everyone, God bless. Thanks so much. Please watch this video and stop asking me questions so I can go watch my hockey. God bless, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
I'm David Boreanaz with the Cast SEAL team, and we have an important message for returning vets. We want you to know if you're struggling to cope, there's help and it's just a phone call away.
The Veterans Crisis Line is staffed with experienced professionals who know your struggles.
There's no greater sacrifice than service to our country. We're able to enjoy our freedoms because of it.
Your service is important. You are important. For vets and their families, the Veterans Crisis Line is here to help 24 hours a day. Please call